won't get the first pick slider with it banned out. And yeah, I guess for Navi, it's just like, let's first pick Rubik because we're happy to have Rubik regardless. And it's not going to really tell too much about our draft. For Secret, they think the same about Weaver. Like, you pick Weaver regardless of what your opponents have. It's flexible. It supports it off lanes. It goes carry. And it leaves you very open with the rest of your draft. So Secret not really showing their hand with their opening picks. But this has been like a recurring theme between these teams, at least, without any of like the power heroes available, the Embers, the Lone Druids. These teams generally pick fairly open heroes in the first stage, with the exception of this pick. Finally, we get something a bit different. Navi go the Magnus.
Yeah, Secret, you have to wonder. Like, Pycat was probably sitting there going, oh, this is probably a trap because they don't ban the Magnus. They ban the Slardor instead, and they just won game number 1. You know, Puppy apparently is not going to feel comfortable going down the same route of just drafting the same exact draft as that got punished last time. So he's switching it up, right? Bans the Slardar, leaves out the Magnus, knows it's going to be picked up by Navi, and Pycat's like, he sits there thinking about it. He's like, well, honestly, we're too good with it. We're just going to go with it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, now I think the good thing for this with Puppy and Secret is it's coming. Like, they've got Magnus, they're going to pick some kind of melee core for Pycat, like the Slark, the Jug, something that can benefit from the Empower to farm faster and to just be have a big team fight presence. Now you have a general idea of what the lanes look like. You can pick a laning advantage for the mid lane, make sure that mid one has a good time. You can play around this very well. So I think for Secret, it's like, let's make sure they don't get to adjust and draft the same thing and then look to like do what happened in game 3 last time, while making sure like you give them something they're good at, but they feel like you can prepare and beat.
Now, the last time Secret faced up against the Navi Magnus, they did have to go up against the Juggernaut, which they already banned away. But that being said, Navi do seem to be pretty comfortable drafting a number of melee cores to be able to work with this Magnus. So if they thought just banning away the Jug is going to suffice, that definitely will not. Lifestealer's still out there as well, though I'm not sure what kind of hero I want if we're, I guess, just with Weaver in the pool so far, and also very likely with that Ogre. We've talked about how Ogre has this really good synergy with certain heroes. You have to kind of keep that in mind for our Team Secret mid laners as well.
Yeah, so for Team Secret, another ban. I wonder if they're going to go like all out, just ban some of those Pycat heroes, the Jug, the first, the Slark type hero, or even like an Ursa with Empower can be quite strong. But again, there's enough options for Pycat that he's not worried about picking the Magnus first and having some of those partners be banned out. So things fairly open. And then for Pycat, he's got to worry about like, where's his Weaver going to go? We're going to see that pesky 4-position Weaver again. I like the 4-position Weaver against Magnus because if you're generally going to be caught in, you're going to be in the side of the fight not getting caught out. So if your teammate gets RP'd or something, you can instantly time lapse them out in the mid to late game once you farm up that Ag Scepter. That Ag's time lapse is just so good. And yeah, they actually don't bother banning another melee carry. They just take out the general axe, which has been very good in the 2 games we've seen it in this tournament against Secret.
Yeah, I kind of like this because it's not just the general hero, but also it's an AoE disable. And I do feel like there's a lot of opportunity here for Navi to be able to get combinations here. But also it comes back to that Weaver support that you're talking about with the Ags. With these AoE disables, that Weaver Ags may not be as powerful as we've seen it be, such as last game. Navi are going to ban away the Dro Ranger. That does leave the some of the mid laners still out there if Team Secret want to go that route. But I don't know. How are you feeling? Like, would you be down with the Sniper versus these Magnus lineups? It's initiation, right? And it's kind of scary, but can it actually get all the way back there?
Doesn't look like it to me one, but I would have been down for one. I think with the range you've got, I'm fine with a Sniper. I don't think I would have wanted it seen like 3rd pick. I think 4th or 5th would have made a bit more sense, but Secret seem happy going for more team fight centric hero. We saw a Quas Wex Invoker from mid 1. In their recent series against that Finham, he was more known for the Exod Invoker. So if they decide that's going to fit this game a bit better, that may be what we see. But having defensive tools against Navi seems like a good plan in general. That was where Secret last game had the Stone Gaze, had the Swap, had the Time Lapse. They were reacting to Navi's aggression. And I think Quas Wex Invoker does that better than an Exod Invoker, of course. Exod is all about the offensive potential. Quas Wex is all about being disruptive and having teamfight control.
And that disruption may be necessary here with Navi, again, going for the double initiators. Not terribly surprising. Sand King I think they did this. I think they've done this one before. Magnus, Sand King. Give them a lot of combination, right? A lot of AoE control, but also it's now heavy amount of physical damage with Magnus plus whatever core, whatever right clicker they end up going for. And then the Sand King is now going to give a lot of magic damage as well. So Secret thought about maybe just getting some sort of sustain and armoring up. That won't be the only solution to Navi's draft. They go for the Bounty Hunter, though. Team Secret opting now to rotate this Weaver into more of a core role. The Lincoln's is going to be very good against the Sand King Burrow Strike. The Bounty, I feel like, is very hit or miss hero, and may just end up doing nothing if Navi start getting into that full 5-man snowball initiation mode, and Bounty Hunter doesn't get enough done in the laning phase.
Yeah, I worry a little bit about this. Like, you need to make sure this bounty can have an impact. But Secret have been very good with their laning stage. So for Navi, I guess we saw last game where their lanes just kind of fell apart for them. Navi just did not really set them up to succeed. I think the Ursa pick also meant that they could get pressured pretty hard. So we'll see what I imagine Puppey can do on this. As much as Pilot Eye is known for the bounty hunter, I'm not sure if he's necessarily going to be playing it. But at the same time, we've seen Puppey play the Ogre and go like this solo crest, super farmed Ogre, while there's like Pilot Eye playing a different 5 position. So maybe they'll swap things up a bit. But Void,
I wasn't sure about this. I mentioned Lifestealer. Void is another one of the heroes that they've run with the Magnus. But when Secret, the thing is, when it was a support Weaver, the Faceless Void doesn't look as good, right? Because you have that opportunity for the Weaver Ags. You may even be able to move that hero outside of the Chrono, depending on where they were 5 seconds ago. But now it's a core Weaver, and that gives the Faceless Void lockdown a whole lot more credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have lockdown all over the place, and Secret, I think, very worried about this big team fight coming their way. Are probably going to have to play a more split push oriented game. They've got the Weaver, which they may even consider running in an offlane and picking up like a carry to go with it, just so they can play like full on split push, have 3 scaling cores. They'll never, I don't know, like you can get a team fight here, but I don't feel like at any point in this game can you match this team fight between Sand King. I mean, all 4 of these heroes have better team fight than everything Secret have outside of the Invoker. So you may just say, all right, screw it, let's just pick a safe, reliable carry, have Weaver play the split push game, and focus on winning the lanes and splitting Navi up so that they can't use this big team fight.
What do you think about that PA ban from Secret? What do they think Navi's plan is with this draft?
I mean, I guess expecting the offlane Void. Ironman's played a lot of the Sand King, so they feel like Navi still want a faster paced, aggressive core, because the Void takes a bit of time kind of to come online. Like you get that Chrono level 6, like you don't necessarily have the damage to pump in yourself. Neither does Magnus. Like currently this lineup doesn't use the Chronosphere in the early stages of the game, and that's where a PA would at least give you a fighting hero, not necessarily to use the Chronosphere, but to play aggressive with. So
okay,
I think they're worried about Navi picking up something that can fight aggressively in early. PA Ursa would be the other hero that comes to mind that didn't work out too well last game, but is like at least a similar style. Early rotations and early fighting.
Okay, I was just wondering because it was the last time they ran safe lane Void and just regular old mid Magnus. So if they continue that plan, we still have an offlaner available, but maybe they are going to switch it up on us. There's not too many offlaners left that would really promote aggression, so maybe it is better to put that Faceless Void as an offlaner and get a better safe lane hero, or put the Sand King there, I guess, and now have a nice tower pushing support in Leshrac.
Okay, so I feel like, yeah, exactly that. They wanted to make sure they have a way to win a team fight and take objectives, or if Secret are playing the split push game and are saying, oh, we're going to avoid your team fight, they can now punish it through having a Lesh. And it does look like that puts General onto the off-lane Sand King in theory, unless we're seeing some kind of a core Lesh. Secret's last pick is going to be a more team fight-oriented hero in the Centaur, giving them the Stampede as well. Not an amazing game for Stampede by any means. Like, I don't feel like any of these heroes benefit from it all that much. Weaver has Shikuchi regardless as a carry, and Voka can generally rely on his position, his Yules, his Blink, his items to maneuver around the fight, but something that does give them a guaranteed way to start a fight off, which sometimes Secret have lacked.
Yeah, the Centaur Stampede is going to look real lackluster if it's always a reactionary. If the Chronosphere or the RP or even the Burrow Strike are already laid out, Centaur Stampedes is gonna look a little bit funny in the early game, but we'll see. Secret are obviously with a bounty hunter. They will have the vision. They have somewhat of an aggressive core in Weaver, so maybe they can be the ones to take the first step every single time. But the first start is making sure they win the laning phase. And Gods, do you feel like Secret is going to be able to do that in this game?
Not maybe as much as last game. A lot depends on Puppey and what he can get done early on with the bounty hunter. So I guess all eyes on him. I mean, between bounty and ogre, you've got very strong laning presence from both these supports. So we'll see how they manage to do. I think Pycat's going to be kind of in a position where you just can't really harass him. He's a void. He's going to have plenty of regen. So trying to find and bully some of these supports, the Rubik, the Lesh, those are the two squishier of the supports that you want to try find some early kills on.
This is an interesting setup. This ward counter ward is going to be counter. I think Puppey did manage to spot RMN as he went high ground to place the ward. He just originally just placed the counter ward, and that gave Puppey to be there in time. So he's going to be able to counter both that as well as the observer ward and block out the camp. That is a very, very valuable sentry he just placed.
Oh yeah. Did chew through double tangos to make sure he could do it quickly and get out of there, but you're not too worried about that. Navi going for a late smoke. They want to run into this bounty with Dust and find a kill. Viver's going to be the one leading the way. He's got the telekinesis, and it looks like this is likely to succeed. They're going to be running right past this observer. Puppey sees it's empty, and there we go. Oh, they're a bit slow.
Yeah, they were just... That coordination was not great. They still managed to hit the stun, though. Telekinesis, pull back. Could they actually finish him off, though? They can't body block him, so there's no real way for General to be able to close that gap quickly. The dust is going to wear out, and a fresh invis laid down. They are going to try keep going. Jesus Christ! All right. It's both sentries down and a dust. They did get that first blood.
Yeah, I guess it's barely worth it in the end, but yeah, that's still... big investment. I feel like they were a little slow. They should have ideally been like hiding behind a tree and trying to bait Puppey in, like using fog. It's hard to do so because you're not sure which direction he's coming from. It looked like they were expecting him to come from the right side, but he came from the north. But
or at least everybody
right
like
back bottom lane. Like already getting damage on a Kezu who gets chain stunned up by RMN in general. So
yeah, I'm kind of down with this. It does mean Pycat is going to be looking a little bit worse for wear when it comes to farm, but very similar to last game. Hopefully they're going to be in a better situation when it comes to laning phase, but General's farm is paramount. That is really when they start moving outside of this static laning phase and start getting some things done. So I do like the fact that they're matching General in a potential 1v1 against Kezu where he can win that, but in the beginning they're going to give him that support of RMN and actually have a lot of kill power between the two of them.
I'm totally on board with it as well. Pycat will at least ideally be able to get XP. He can always play catch-up using the Empower to help him farm, so for now it is a bit of a tough lane. He's hoping it's going to push out with the double range creep. As Pilot can get a side pull off, Pycat should still get some XP out of this lane. So all in all, the Navi lane setup looks better than what we saw last game.
Creep Wave's going to push into towers. RMN in general putting more pressure onto Kezu, prioritizing shoving him out of lane rather than making sure they get the farm themselves. Kezu will have to bounce back. Go for the 2-minute runes. Mid lane, 11-5 for Dendi with the early level of Empower. He does have a pretty decent damage upgrade over mid 1 at level 1, but now we start seeing the power of the Wegzort mid 1 Invoker build and his Alacrity damage.
Yep. Gets the second point in Exalt, making it pretty clear he will be going for some Sunstrike plays this game, and just generally the more heavy Exalt won't just go for the early Alacrity and back for Quaswex. Unless we see a double Exalt with any into Quaswex, but that doesn't seem like it's pretty very standard Invoker build, so trying to play around some of the Centaur initiations, the Ogre stuns to hit some of those Sunstrikes, and for now this mid lane with Viver's presence has been tougher than most as far as him getting farm. Dendi happy to split the XP if it means getting fast bottle, fast boots, and his early game items.
And Biver goes for stacks. Stacks are going to be all important for the supports. Obviously, between the Sand King and then the Empower, Navi have great ways to be able to clear through those. They do make a go on Kezu here again. Unlikely to actually get this kill. Kezu's even just going to TP out after the double stuns. So they get some harassment done, push him out of lane.
Puppy's been fairly quiet during the early stage. He was annoying to Pycat by taking his bounty room when he fell back from the tower, but hasn't been able to help any of the lanes because of Rubik's presence mid, because of a strong dual lane down bottom with a Centaur. Centaur bounty can't fight this 2v2. There isn't really an obvious lane for Puppy to help. Perhaps the best one he could have done is perhaps top. Oh, mid. Skewer back. Mid one. Instant Ghost Wall. Wasn't quite in the tower with that skewer. Really nice attempt with that telekinesis. And mid one. Yeah, he'll still be okay.
He's going to be cut off here by RMN. Very low chance, but he might be able to get this kill. If he hits the stun, now has to pop the Diabolic Edict afterwards with the extra nuke of the Faith Bolt. They might still be able to get this kill. Puppy comes in, soaks up some of the damage, tries to get some return kill onto RMN. Drops a cheeky little branch there for a tree. Tried to give himself a little bit of vision, but nice kill onto mid one. I was just going to criticize Navi for basically setting up that kind of gank, but not having RMN pick up a TP and TP in for the initiation. Yes. But they still get the kill.
Yeah, they had the dust and everything. They had all the pieces they needed, just that little bit of extra damage and lockdown. So nice move from RMN. Make sure he still gets the kill. And yeah, this lane's looking very good. Pycat not exactly farming amazingly, but he's got 11 CS against what should have been a tough lane, and they're going for it again in the mid.
Round 2, no TP here. This time mid one will just throw out the tornado and try and run back, but it looks like they may have the damage anyway. Pylai stops the last right click. Dendy, can you get it? 2 seconds? No, the shockwave's not going to be there in time. In fact, Biver may end up going down. Pylai is just beating him. A new one. Dendy can't do much to stop that, so this time around it's the support that dies.
Like how he even tried to empower the Rubik to help him get that kill. Just couldn't quite get it. Nice attempt from Navi. And losing just his support for all those rotations isn't all too bad for them, considering the other lanes where they've taken the T1 bottom tower. They've almost got a kill onto Kezu. He's going to be forced to hoof stomp himself out of there. And with the stun coming up, RMN still wants this.
Oh, he just happened to hit Puppy while he's in Viz too, so Puppy couldn't even get a whole lot of damage to RMN while they're underneath that tier 2 tower. It seems like the laning phase, maybe Secret are planning on with this Bounty Hunter actually getting an early lead, thanks to the Bounty Hunter's presence, but it's actually been quite the opposite. He has not managed to accomplish nearly as much as the Navi supports. Now with a triple stun combination, they'll pick up Puppy as well, 4-1 to Navi. MP, maybe, with a Sunstrike. RMN, oh, his TP was just about to complete. It was so close, but not close enough. Now Biver may go down.
Does not have a TP, so do not see a good escape for him. Does have a telekinesis.
Pull back.
Push MP back, but
think he would.
Still.
General, he would have to be there just to give Biver a chance, and he doesn't want to risk his own life, I think. Losing the supports is all good as long as they don't lose their cores, especially General's farm, as we've said time and time again. It's the most important thing for Navi.
He didn't have any points in Sandstorm, so it was like, you go in, you're committed there. So he falls back. Navi going to smoke up. They've got the level 6 on Pycat, so he may not have any farm, but they still feel like they can use this trio to find a kill, ideally on the Invoker.
They're not going to be able to clip Puppy with that one. They may still be able to bring mid one down. They'll hit the stun as the Chronosphere fades back, and there's going to be a lot of Secret heroes to be able to respond. Dendy does manage to get a really good RP, though. No turnaround, though. RMN is going to get burned out from the Ignite. Unfortunately, it would have been a nice combo stun, but Dendy, mostly there, using the RP, saves most of his allies from going down as they kill the Invoker and just trade RMN away.
Yeah, close seeing the supports there, but Lesh didn't have another stun or anything. They stacked the telekinesis a bit with the Lesh stun. Maybe if they actually saved one of those spells, they could have comboed with the RP, but either way, they just wanted to make sure they killed the Invoker as fast as possible, seeing all those TPs come in.
NP runs into General and Biver. But looks like their plan was to... Okay. I think their plan was to actually just full-on rotate around mid-1 and go for a dive. You can see how much they're putting priority in shutting him down with the multiple rotations of Biver.
Yeah, I mean, there's a play to shut down on Secret. I think mid-1 is the play to look at. Much like General for Navi is probably the play you want to shut down. That's why Navi are happy to send Pycat to the offlane. Like, he's playing a hero that was initially run more often in the offlane than the carry role, so at least over the last couple of years, so it's not a problem for that, and he can always transition later on.
Yeah, Gods, it looks like all those presumptive Reddit posts about 7.0 are right. The off lane is the new safe lane, at least for Navi anyway.
Well, not in the sense he's necessarily getting farmed, but
yeah.
No, how safe he's. I mean, he's not dying because he's a void, but.
Viver, I'm sorry, dude. Your rotations, they're good in the beginning, but this time around, you will be caught 5-5 now as Secret are beginning to get a read on what Navi's shenanigans are going to be in this laning phase.
Yep, they've got good vision up now, like around that mid lane, the bottom river, so they're catching Rubik first, rotating up towards that top shrine, and then going down bottom there. It looked like he was trying to get an aggressive ward up, but if you've got wards up in the area first, you see those supports coming in and trying to find those pickoffs. So Secret going the aggressive again. MP's been very active. Definitely been impressed by him this series. First on the Venge, and now on this Weaver. He realizes they've had a bad laning stage. He TP's bottom. He comes mid. He is the one trying to create space to help at mid one get his Midas up and to put pressure onto Navi.
The smoke may still be successful. It's been popped on NP, but Pylai is in position to make a goal here on RMN. RMN has his ult out, so at least he'll get some damage in return. Might be enough to actually kill Pylai with a Diabolic Edict damage still going out and a Shockwave coming in from Dendy of his rotation. They do get a turnaround. One support for one support.
All right. Not all too bad. Navi did bring the Magnus in for that, although it looked like Dendy was just in the neighborhood farming anyways. He's gone back for an Iron Talon, going to be rushing an Echo Saber. He's going a more farm-oriented build himself, where he can actually dish out some good damage. And Cronus here at bottom, they've caught MP.
Oh, look at that. General.
Great play. Yeah.
It's the Caustic Finale creeps and finishes up with a Burrow Strike, meaning Dendy's influence not even needed.
It's going straight into the Aether Lens. Interesting option. Not what you normally see on Sand King.
No, certainly not.
Puppy doesn't want to snipe that rune. Not in front of a potential rotation.
RMN playing around with Ancients. I didn't really know that was an option for Electric and support, and maybe RMN didn't know it was an option either. He starts backing away from that stack, while Dendy does get found as he was taking away that bounty rune. Don't think anything's going to come of it, as it would require Centaur's TP, and he doesn't have one for another 38 seconds.
Yeah, at this point, I think Secret need to prioritize perhaps getting Kezu a blink, since he's going to be their mid-game way of approaching fights and to find pickoffs. Like, yeah, you're not going to be able to necessarily out-team fight Navi, but ideally you need to be able to make smokes and make some smoke ganks and find some pickoffs to disrupt Navi's like snowball, as far as just they could go from tower to tower, pushing them down using the edict just based on their team fight strength. So I think having a centaur to find pickoffs is going to be key for them. He has queued up the hood though, so it doesn't look like he wants to rush into it, which means Secret are going to be playing like a very more slow-paced, farming-oriented game if they're not going for the blink.
Oh, maybe they do still catch Dendy. He actually tried to skewer up in order to get away from all this, but he was pretty tanky. I thought he was going to be good walking away, but he ends up getting his TP canceled, and now he's just trying to lead them on a merry chase. Mid-1 will not be able to claim the bounty, though.
Yeah, Stampede to help get... I don't know if he gets that Fire Blast off without the Stampede, so... Well,
yeah, good call.
Fitting pause time. Unfortunate for Navi, but as it stands, they're still in a pretty good position overall. Like the farm on Sand King and Magnus is very good. Void's in a position where he's number 5 on net worth for now, but that can very quickly change. A couple of successful fights if he just gets some alone time to farm, and he is going back for a Midas now, so that catch-up Midas will allow Pycat to get caught back up. He's got support of this top lane, perhaps looking to bait the Faceless Void.
No, I wonder how Secret will respond to this, because they can't efficiently trade just because they don't really have the same kind of building hitters. Weaver's okay thanks to an early Blightstone in this Bloodlust, but it's not really going to be comparable to RMN and his huge Diabolic Edict damage. So I wonder at what point does Secret start fighting these pushes, because that is also an inherent danger due to Navi's early game.
Yeah, and right now Navi's doesn't even have to push with all 5 heroes. They're pushing with 4. Secret decide they want to try and punish that, but I think even a 4v5, Navi do very well here because of no chrono yet, but if they get the chrono up, then they can do well.
General at least does manage to stop NP's rotation. His TP does manage to get there out there in time, and he Burrow strikes in, so ends up just being a 3 versus 4 on top where Navi walk away. And we'll see a hand of minus now being finished up by Pycat off of the neutrals. So he'll start climbing back into that net worth chart. He's been playing the off laner during the laning phase. Didn't really get much, but you can see even before the Midas, he's sitting at 4.1k, not too far behind both MP and mid one at this point. Dendi, oh, nice attempted play there from mid one with the preemptive Sunstrike to get him during skewer, but Dendi does not go that direction.
Yeah, you feel it. Even if I guess if it landed, perhaps they would have committed more damage for it, but it did feel like they were lacking. And Void, Chronosphere up top, finds Kezu with RMN. Navi just execute. The beauty of their lineup with all these big teamfight spells is you can use a Chrono for a solo kill. You're quite happy chronoing one core hero and backing off, RPing a single hero. You've got so many big teamfight spells that you don't have to land 3 4-man Chronos or 3 4-man RPs in this game. You can use each big ultimate to kill one hero. Get a solo kill with an Epicenter, get a solo kill with a Chrono, and you already have a numbers advantage to win a fight.
All right, congrats. You got the vision on General. What are you going to do with it? Threw it on a Dust, threw it on a Sentry, got a track on him, but all of it is going to result in naught. As General did have a pretty good read of the situation. Seems like you would think they'd be a little bit more experienced to it, but Secret seem to be underestimating the tankiness of the mid Magnus, especially with this build that he goes for, with the Strength Treads, and then he usually picks up that Echo Saber, which he has now. Magnus is actually very hard to initiate on, just because he is unnaturally tanky at this point, and is usually pretty farmed thanks to Empower. Yeah,
we saw it at the Ancients when they find him, but they can't even bring him down, so... Yeah, Dendi just going to use this build to continue getting a bit more farm on himself. Pycat actually doesn't end up going for the Midas. It looks like he's picked up a Maelstrom, so perhaps the word is like, I think Navi are probably feeling like after these last couple fights and towers, they've gotten very easy, like they're a lot stronger than Secret, so they'd rather press their advantage, get a more aggressive fighting item, damage item for Pycat. It's also a pseudo farming item the way Midas works. You can farm lanes a lot faster. Like I saw Pycat creep skipping the top tower and he farms it so slowly. This Maelstrom means he can actually be away from the Magnus and still farm at a decent rate.
Yeah, I'm thinking if he was maybe farther behind in this game, then maybe the Midas would be worth it. But I think you're right in saying that like Navi have done good enough in the laning phase. They can push this advantage, and a Maelstrom will do that a lot better for you, giving you some damage. They're going to be able to get the Epicenter combination onto Kezu. Kezu does have the Hood of Defiance, but this much magic damage is still going to overwhelm him. The Sunstrike comes in, unfortunately on the wrong target. General will be the one to tank it and easily lives through it all.
The TP mid, they want their shrines, but MP is camped on the high ground. General. Uh-oh.
Now, General's going to be gone on. He's definitely dead. Dendi is still in the neighborhood, but not going to make the rotation up. I thought maybe we'd see some sort of RP, TP play, but Navi just going to lit there. Their offlaner died. Not a big deal. The other two cores are getting more than enough farm, as is the 4-position support Leshrac. He's getting a decent amount out of this game as well.
He needs to transition and get some, at least, items to help him survive in these fights. I mean, Leshers always need to be in the front lines. That's how you do damage through your Edict and your Pulse Nova, so that's where having an underfarmed Lesh is not going to work for you. So, Navi probably looking to utilize the blink timings now. Both Sanking and Magnus will have theirs at a fairly similar time. And a bit slower than perhaps you'd normally see from a Sanking or a Magnus in their 1v1 match, just because they've gone for these farming items. I think Navi are like, well, we can get blinks at 11, 12 minutes in, but we'd rather fight around the 16, 17-minute stage where we've got more overall farm, more levels. They've got level 2 ultis, they've got a level 11 Lesh, you've got maxed out Edict, so they're overall stronger through their levels when they get their blinks, and they're not going to try and force plays around blink daggers when they're not ready to fight.
It's kind of surprising me that RMN went for the plus 15 movement speed talent on Leshrac over the 125 health.
Huh.
Yeah, if that was like, you know, plus 8 strength or something, I'd be like, okay, you know, maybe that's just not enough HP for you to feel comfortable with, and mobility is survivability in some cases, so...
Yeah.
But
well, I guess
125 is a decent amount.
His teammates will have blinks and he won't, so he wants to be able to just like kind of keep up. Like when they initiate him with the blinks done, he wants to make sure he's in range to get off the like a follow-up stun. But I definitely agree. I think the more standard would be going for the health.
Sick play from General. He was farming out his blink tag on the bottom lane, and they started going on him. They had Ignite, they had Swarm, and he runs into the jungle, picks up from the side chop his blink dagger, instantly TPs, and gets the distance needed. to TP out.
Well played from him. Puppey is getting down some deep wards. Secret have constantly had very good vision this game, thanks to Puppey, but they haven't really had the early game impact from his support bounty that they did from his Weaver. He's been in 5 of these kills, but it is still a lane stage that hasn't gone as great for Secret. They've got mid 1 up, like back on top of the net worth though, so despite the early pressure onto him, he's just played PvE for the most part and has managed to farm himself up a Blink. He's close to an Aghanim Scepter as well to go with his Midas, and that's at least putting him in a position to succeed in the late game. Puppey may find this Courier.
Poopy, got it. Yeah. Oh, ever so barely, thanks to this ward right here. He does manage to spot the Courier coming in. It does not mean that Navi are going to stop roshing, though. They'll have the Aegis for Pycat. So they'll have a lot better time, a lot more confidence getting these initiations. Team fights, Secret are just going to have to go for maybe a heavy amount of split push. I'm not sure if they can beat Navi, even if they execute really well. I'm not sure if they can beat Navi in a full 5-man.
Yeah, I do not think so either. And even Invoker gets his Ags, he gets a bit more teamfight presence. He's still, like, for an Invoker, lower level than you want to be to start taking big 5-on-5 engagements. Pycat finds...
Oh, no, Pycat! Oh, God, I can see it coming, too. Ooh. Oh, no. Well, that's a Chronosphere down. The battle of the counter wards results in a big win for Secret. Here, I thought this was just going to be a minor. No big deal. Congrats, you counter to counter. What's the big deal about that? But results in Chronosphere being whiffed. Epicenter being drawn up here. Here comes RMN charging in, trying to finish off with that Burrow Strike, but the Stampede comes in. Unfortunately, that plus 15 movement speed just wasn't enough. General's now been caught by the track, and they're going to be chased down. MP will go for RMN, while Kezu puts a stomp onto General. TP out from RMN will be successful, but that turnaround was big for Secret.
Yeah. That there is why you want more movement speed as a less, so you can get in for that follow-up stun, but he just still wasn't quite fast enough to get that Split Earth to follow up the Epicenter combo. General perhaps misjudging, or wherever the communication was, it was slightly misjudged about when to initiate in, because you need to make sure Leshrac has the follow-up stun there, because that Stampede allows Invoker to disengage.
Pycat fiercely beating on that tier 2 tower. Because he can. He's got the Aegis. He's got Biver behind him watching the Shrine to make sure that if there are heavy TP rotations, they'll know about it. They're going to start setting up for defense of the tier 1 at top. Rubik TPing onto the tier 2, leaving the tier 1 TP open if someone wants to make a quick rotation.
Yep. Doesn't look like anyone's going to force too much. Navi just back to their jungle. They're going to continue to farm up. Dendy's got his Blink, but hasn't found too much off of this just yet. He's very high level and has a lot of farm though. Like, he's almost got a BKB to follow this one up. So top of the net worth Magnus. This is not the Magnuses you normally expect to see out of like your melee carry draft. Normally you think more like utility Magnus, you're just helping your carries farm, but this Magnus is prioritizing his own farm. This is how Dendy's been playing it the few times he runs it, and I definitely prefer it. Like, you can help your teammates farm from time to time, but Pycat's been pretty self-sufficient, Sanking General's been self-sufficient. Dendy can have a very big late game impact by having this BKB Saber of his own.
Yeah, the Echo Saber felt like a big change for a lot of strength heroes, but it seems like as time has gone on, it's been the Magnus who's benefited from the most. Pycat is going to be gone on here. There goes that Aegis. Secret are going to try and make another go here. Now, they do not have the Stomp, but they will have the track to be able to keep on top of Pycat, it seems. Chronosphere laid out. He's going to go and try and get to the other side, but Kezu's on top of him. Does manage to get the Blink, and Pycat's TP is canceled. Secret are finding pickoff after pickoff. They are managing to run Navi around the map, separate them, and then find these very key kills.
Yeah, this is good play from Secret to get themselves, I mean, kind of back in this game. They're not really that out of it. They're just playing the slower paced game. They're playing the farm game. So it kind of appears, I guess, on the surface that like, oh, Navi's doing more. They're pressuring the lanes. They're the ones who are initially getting more of the kills. But Iron Man at top.
Sunstrike will finish him off.
Great combo. Yeah.
Biver does manage to steal the Stomp that will lead into General hitting a stun as well, but Kezu is very tanky. He's got Hooded Defiance as well as a point booster. Biver's now going to be blasted down by mid one. Double kill for them. Also track kills going the way of Secret. General's
Oh,
now
they
been
found General.
spotted. Great tornado from mid one. He does manage to get a Burrow Strike TP out. He will be okay.
Sunstrike just coming back up there, but yeah, that's the big thing here. It's like you're finding these picks as secret. It's not just buying your time to farm, but you're getting extra bonus gold from the track. They are looking very good as a result of that. MP's gone straight into a BKB. We feel like we often talk about Weaver builds because we're seeing so many Weaver builds, Weaver picks, but this is a new build for us to try and figure out.
Yeah, and he doesn't go. He started going for it, Perseverance, and then just holds it at that, and is going to try and finish up the death. So I think part of it was that if there was not so much successful split pushing from Secret, the Desolator wouldn't have as much value, and you'd need that extra defensive item, prevent initiation. But Navi, they actually are getting kind of run around, and they got a lot of tier 2 damage there in the bottom lane. General's going to go for an Epicenter on a Pylai die. Now, this time around, it doesn't look like a Stampede will save him, but in the end, it's Pylai die. That guy's literally known for dying. He's okay. Pycat actually jumping forward away from the hood stomp. They're going to be controlled up by the Cold Snap, though. He's too far forward and gets picked apart. Secret. You take the Ogre, we'll take the Void every single day of the week.
Pretty cool hoof stomp dodge. I think it's probably intentional. Like he's queued it up. Like, okay, if I get dodged, I have to time walk immediately. If I get blinked on, and he's already facing forward, but he does it into 3 or 4 heroes. So unfortunately, the cooldown does not play into his favor to come back up in time to save his life, and didn't have a chrono to play around. But consecutive kills onto the Void. That is a big concern. There's been a few kills onto the Lesh, who really needs some farm progression as well to turn into at least a pseudo core and be a bit tankier and hard to deal with. And Navi may lose General as well.
Yep, Sunstrike, Meteor, mega kill streak for mid one. This Invoker getting out of control. They're shutting down. You're pointing out they're shutting down all the right heroes of Navi, and vice versa is not true, right? Navi have continued to fail to gank the Invoker, have failed to gank most of the cores for the most part. Like, they haven't touched MP, and even Kezu, who should be ideally one of the easier heroes, last time they went on him, it was actually a turnaround, and they got RMN killed as a result.
Navi just haven't been able to force those fights that they'd like with Chrono and RP. I mean, we've seen Dendi really do very little to get involved. He has prioritized his own farm and is scaling well. But you've got to worry that if I think Navi were playing this farming efficiency game but not getting picked off, like trading farm with Secret, you'd be okay with it. But they're getting picked apart. They're losing the Void, and his farm has really suffered as a result. Just 9.5k net worth. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Dendi in this late game to hit RPs, to get kills for his team. His talents are amazing for getting kills, which is why we're seeing this Magnus build. 25 attack speed, 50 damage. He can get some strength if he wants even more damage, but it's a Secret draft where they seem to be able to maneuver around the teamfight spells of Navi, so it's easier said than done to land those spells later on.
Yeah, poor Dendi has so much pressure on him. Like, all of his cores are getting picked off. His forward position that's supposed to scale isn't really getting there either. He just picks up the Eul's Scepter, but he's well behind even the Bounty Hunter and Centaur, so so much responsibility is on his shoulders now to get the right kind of initiation needed to turn this game around for them.
They smoke underneath a ward. At least it looked like it was underneath the ward. Pilot actually TP's in up here.
Pie's tanking it.
Yeah.
Typical Pie.
Be the case.
Stampede. Oh my god. All right. Biver's got that blink dagger. He'll send him back. He'll get the stun follow up, and everything is a-okay again in Navi's mind, but that was not the ideal smoke for them, and Secret, they get a lot done in the meantime. They get the bottom lane push out. They take a tier 2 for a tier 2. And Navi are going to try and threaten the high ground to see if they can force MP back. But they really can't. Not against this Invoker.
Yeah, very, very difficult. Don't really see that. At most, you get Secret to TP themselves home. So it does look like that's going to be the case for the most part. General then just goes back to his jungle to keep on farming. Navi want to kind of maintain some map control around this area. They've got good deep wards at the top and middle side of the map. But Secret are more interested in this bottom side. They know Void just TP'd down here to farm. They smoke up very quickly to get down there to try find that pickoff. But this time around, it looks like Pycat is at least somewhat aware of what is going on and coming his way.
Stolen Shukuchi for Biver. That's a big pickup, especially since he's the one holding the gem. But they are not going to run into General. Never mind.
Yeah, he saw the Mud Golem, which Puppey is using as like a scouting tool, but he still gets down.
General.
I mean, it's hard. Like, I guess from like an observer point of view, it looks like Navi just keep getting picked off alone, but that really is the power and the beauty of this bounty hunter who is constantly scouting out, finding these picks. I mean, Secret, in testament to them, are just playing very well to find these kills. These are not easy kills to get. They're moving very aggressively on the map and not hesitating. Like, as soon as they lose that top tower, they're smoking from top to bottom to get in that Radiant jungle again.
And with that pick off, Desolator takes apart the tier 1 tower. Now Dendy may be caught in a bad position. Good skewer across to the side. Well played. He was being rapidly surrounded. That was his only escape. Here comes that Mud Golem. Running at Navi. They immediately back out. They said the Golem, that was a harbinger of death last time for Generals, so everyone run away from that guy.
It's like a second bounty hunter. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's the bounty hunter without the spells. But right now, bounty's main job is to scout out enemies and set up kills for his team. That Mud Golem does the same thing with no risk of it dying. Like, if it dies, you don't lose anything. If Puppey dies, it's a bigger deal. And if the Golem finds someone, then Puppey can then go in and follow it up for a track. So you can really see the power of the Helm of the Dominator in use and why Puppey wants to go for it on his bounty hunter.
He thought he could push into the Dire jungle. Maybe that was miscommunication. Maybe he thought his allies were going to run with him and they were just going to charge into the Dire jungle. And not the case. They stay on the shrine, and everyone is crowded around the Roshan area, knowing that this is probably going to be the most important part of the game. They're going to be able to get an initiation on a Pylite die, so one support picked off. The other one may not die here. Kezu actually managed to get the stun onto Dendy. Dendy invised up, but they do have the vision of him. He starts getting away. Nice Chronosphere. Pycat locking in 4. They're going to be able to get the Burrow Strike off that with the RP. 4 down from Secret. That'll open up Roshan finally. It wasn't Dendy who found the initiation, but Pycat who redeems himself with a game-changing ultimate.
I feel like so many of these Navi Magnus games, like Dendy will have a pretty quiet game and hit one huge up to win in the game. That was all Pycat. What a Chronosphere. And well played by Sankey to make sure he lines up the Burrow Strike. Because of the way they were positioned in the Chrono, Dendy couldn't get that 3-man RP until that Burrow Strike came into play. So made sure he blinked right into the middle of the Chrono to get the follow-up RP with the help of the Burrow Strike, and absolute cleanup by Navi. They get the big team fight, they secure themselves Roshan, and that is what their lineup has been looking to do for quite some time.
Now Puppey's farming the neutrals going, God damn it, guys. Are you going to let that team fight happen? Now I've got to farm and do something because you guys just seem to get caught in their AoE. We've got so many items flooding in now for Navi. We've got Yule Scepter for Sand King. Pycat's going to finish up a BKB, so finally he gets to be able to have a quick reaction response to the Centaur's initiation. When he does stomp in, he doesn't have to time walk into death anymore. And then Dendy, looks like Dendy has queued up an Orchid. We'll see if he actually continues down that trajectory or not, but I do like the idea with the Shadowblade.
Yeah, this is, I think Dendy's almost always doing this kind of a build. I don't know if he always goes to Shadowblade before the Orchid, but the few like core Magnus games I've seen, he goes for the right click, he transitions into this Orchid later on, and just goes for this very aggressive style of play. So he is in full force right now. Plus 15 strength talent means he's tankier and even gets more damage out of this. Gets the bonus damage from the Empower on that strength as well. So this is going to be a tough Magnus to deal with.
Yeah, dude's hitting pretty hard.
He does more damage than Void theoretically in a team fight with his right clicks, I would say. Secret gonna have to be careful. I mean, they've had like a good streak of getting pickoffs and like without getting caught in that big team fight combo, but that's gonna make them think maybe twice. Now back to the split push. Use the Stampede as a saving tool. It's an Ag Stampede, so you've got that damage block if like one of your cores like a Weaver or Invoker gets gone on. It can block the damage while perhaps getting them out to safety. But immediately upon winning that fight, Navi is back, pressing forward, have RP back up. The Epicenter, the Chrono back up in 15 seconds as well. Navi want to force this.
Mid one pops his head out. That is nothing more than a tornado to dispel that double damage that was sitting on Pycat. They are going to try and come forward here. They do manage to hit the stun. Pycat doesn't actually get off the BKB fast enough, but he does have that second life. MP. He gets off a BKB his own. He actually charges forward here through Navi's lineup, trying to go on for Biver here, but he does get Oh! That was a well-timed bash, and RP almost finished him off, but Dendi does manage to hold on to it as the time-lapse completes. Dendi with his Shadow Blade in a position. Nice double stun out from General on the Puppey, and Pylai die. That telekinesis is going to be thrown into Pi. They are going to get that two-man Chronosphere. Now, Dendi still waiting for his opportunity to catch some of the cores. The supports are going to end up going down. Finally, the RP's laid out. It's going to be on mid one. They want to stop this big damage dealer. Another great burrow strike out from General. Hits Kezu as well on this side. Can they hit him with the skewer? They've got him. Bowls right into him. Kezu going to be stopped from being able to TP out. That will be a track kill for Navi since Biver had that one stolen away from Puppey. 4 down from Secret once again.
General's going for the epicenter bottom. He wants MP. He'll get him, I think.
No, MP, is that going to be? Oh my God! It's
so
the last bit of damage. He gets the time lapse off. That would have been a full wipe.
50 HP. Yeah, that was the full wipe he went for. I love the call from General. He sees him tracked up bottom. It was a Rubik stolen track, I guess, and just TP's down there looking for that kill. Either way, Navi wiped them and are looking to do some damage here. They need to be careful about the respawns because they won't have ultimates. Or they... Oh, yeah. They still won't have their big ultimates for a little bit of time, but... These are, like, now that we're kind of in the late game, like the RP, the Chrono, it feels like you use one, you win a fight, they're back up within the next minute or so.
Oh, another two-man stun from General. He just doesn't stop. The skewer back on the Puppey. Freebie for Navi on their way out.
They may just try Shrine up, wait these cooldowns, and go again now if they want to. Navi's finally seem to be hitting their stride here in the mid-game.
You know, Gods, I thought you were right. You know, they got punished once by the big team fight, so time to split push. Secret choosing to fight again in the mid lane, and you could see the power of Navi's lineup. They're able to chrono 2 supports, and it doesn't really matter because they still have an RP. They're able to RP mid one by himself, but it doesn't matter because 2 supports are already dead, and General's over there, you know, stunning 2 people at a time with every single burrow strike. They can afford to use these big team fight ultimates for very small picks in these big 5-man engagements because they've got so many to utilize.
I think it was a very clear team decision from Navi as well, because Dendi stayed there invis while Pycat was fighting in the Chronosphere. Dendi didn't even try and come out to use a single spell or throw any damage until he saw Invoker. His entire game plan that fight was to just find an RP mid one. If you get mid one plus other heroes, great. If you don't, doesn't matter. As long as he RP'd mid one, that was his job that fight. Pycat's job was to start the fight. Chrono, 1, 2 heroes, however many you can get, to bait mid one in. And they pulled mid one in, he gets taken out, and once mid one's dead, that any damage up when Secret's fight is completely reduced to next to nothing. The Invoker is really the majority of their team fight, and Navi are ready to go again. They've got ultimates once more.
They know General's in here. Do they really want to make this initiation? They don't manage to catch Pycat. They do hit General and blow him up with a meteor. Now, the ultimate's going to be laid out by Pycat. He's trying to finish off MP. Does he have the damage? No, the time-lapse goes off again. He gets a bash, though, double bash, and he does manage to finish off. Kezu going to be caught by a burrow strike. Puppey's up next. Biver right in front of his face. Looks like they're going to be able to get that kill. Nice turnaround by Puppey. That's a track kill as well. But in the end, Rubik is the only one who goes down, and Secret lose 3. Again, choosing to fight into Navi. Are they going to do it again and again and again?
Got the RP. He's looking for mid one.
Dendi wants him.
Blink in.
Wants him bad.
They've held RP and Epicenter right now, so there's still a lot of team fight potential for this Navi side. Chrono 60 seconds away. They can still force this one, knowing that the Centaur and Weaver are dead.
Manta popped out. Tier 3 will be finished off by the Illusions and the Diabolic Edict of RMN. Mid 1 will attempt to scare them back with an EMP, and it looks like it's done its trick with 15 seconds left for the NP Weaver. Navi will back away and deal with this bottom lane push.
Yeah, it feels like Navi happy to take a more calculated approach, recognize that their lineup can still scale very well to the late game, not by having like a carry advantage, just because of all these team fight spells. It's going to always be damned impossible for mid one to fight. There's no real item that you can get to save yourself against a Chronosphere or an RP. It's just going to come down to positioning and how you play it, and he's looking to play it by finding a free pick. Biver, bottom lane. Can't do a whole lot against the Lincoln Sphere, and we'll get picked off.
Good kill. Gets him a little bit closer to that Octarine. But All the items in the world won't change the fact that Dendi is very clearly trying to play a neutralizer role. See if they can catch Pylai here. The Stampede goes off, slows some of them down. They do manage to kill Pylai here. The RP goes out from Dendi, but not feeling comfortable. Is going to try and skewer out. Blinks away. He's good. Still with the BKB. Mid-one's going to try and hunt him down still. He does have the Blink Dagger and Cold Snap up, but Nighttime Vision and a Tier 2 tower will keep Mid-1 from pursuing.
Good couple of kills there, catching Navi a bit split up. Like they find the Rubik at bottom, which doesn't seem like a big kill, but it just means that once they find one more pick-off, suddenly you've got a big numbers advantage. The 5v3.
Oh,
Pycat in, but
he's got the BKB. If he could finish off MP inside this Chronosphere, he had a hard time last time with a Burrow Strike Epicenter coming in. That'll make it a whole lot easier. Pycat jumps forward, tries to go for more here, slowing down Puppey with the time dilation. Kezu helps him out. They're going to turn, try and blow up Pycat. They've got him. The BKB used inside the Chronosphere leads Pycat to his own death as he pursues out too far. Gets caught, turned around on. This time, Secret finally making a good exchange.
Yeah, that Pycat just getting a bit too overzealous there, knowing he's like, oh, I've killed the Weaver, let's just chase for more. I can see this bounty, and he, in his chase, loses the gem there as well, which is bad news for Navi, losing that detection for both the Weaver and the Bounty Hunter. Pycat will be probably getting reprimanded for that later on, but as it stands, this game's still very winnable for Navi. Just need to find that big team fight that we've seen a few times from them.
Tier 2's got to be dropping here during this 40-second death timer of Pycats. Doesn't look like they feel... Well, mid-one's got to pop his head out. So maybe they do feel comfortable with this mid lane push still. The Weaver is coming back in 5 seconds time. Maybe they're just going to wait out him.
I wonder if there's any consideration towards getting a Ags on Weaver, like in the late game. Yeah, MP needs to do damage, but at the same time, like against all these big team fight spells, being able to save someone like mid-one with an Ags time lapse seems like a very useful thing to have. Like to me, Ags Weaver is like almost a necessity to be able to push and fight into Navi, unless you're finding pickoffs. Problem is, it's MP playing the like carry role and not really an item you want to buy as a Weaver.
Dendi drawing all over the Roshan pit, and that's where everyone's eyes is going to be turning to here. They don't know that they did get a successful scan around the Roshan pit, but Secret aren't actually in there. They're trying to make their way over because they fear it is being done right now, but it's not up for another minute.
Rubik gets his Ag Scepter, so see what he can manage to steal in these upcoming fights. Some handy Invoker spells, the Centaur Stun or Stampede would be really nice. The Track we've seen a few times get stolen as well. Even just a Bloodlust. Bloodlust onto your Magnus or your Void, at least at the start of the fight, could be pretty handy to have. But right now, Navi really need to regain this map control. Losing that gem now also means that there's these deep observer woods up right outside their base. They're starting to ping them, and it seems like they know they've got a new gem on general. So, well, it's an old gem of Pylai Eyes. It looks like the two teams have swapped gems, but this will take away some of that Navi vision. And Navi need that vision to find and isolate these heroes for pickoffs, because that's how they approach these fights. They've got to burst one down at the start of the fight, outside of like the big team fight spells, before they can look to approach Navi head on.
Dendi will now finish up that Orchid and still has enough for buyback. Navi check the pit. Roshan is up. They can try and do it with... Well, unfortunately, Pycat doesn't have any lifesteals, so he doesn't have a whole lot of sustain, but they might just be able to do it with 1 or 2 inside the pit and heroes surrounding. But I guess with MP bottom, Navi got it for free.
Secret have lost their vision completely in the area, so I think just due to the map control concerns, it's not worth contesting, and you try and fight around your high ground advantage if Navi try and press the issue off of this. They've got Aegis and Cheese on Pycat though, so he's that frontliner who often has been able to get burst down by like a well-timed stomp into Invoker combo. May cease to be the case though, due to these new pickups.
Mid one looks for
High
another
bottom.
pick, but Puppy does see a couple of rotating heroes. Pylai Die is going to be jumped on by the Burrow Strike. They're going to be able to follow up that stun. Biver gets picked off in the meantime. MP still trying to fight this one out with RMN with his physical damage, and now a two-man tornado into the Sunstrike. Sunstrike not really hitting there. RMN used his own Yule Scepter to try and buy himself time, but he is still going to go down. But on the other side of things, Kezu is being very disruptive. Right in front of all of Navi, does manage to disrupt them and keep them from pursuing the rest of Secret. And it looks like they're low enough HP. They can't actually do much here. Pycat's trying to turn, does have the Aegis, but he doesn't really have the mana to back it up. He does get a time lapse off, does a lot of damage, but has an EMP coming in. Pycat's just going to pop the BKB, hoping to save the Aegis for another time, but a Sunstrike, ooh, a little bit too far forward. Mid one misses that one, but Kezu does manage to hit him with the Shivas. Pycat does get a little bit more distance with the time walk, but his silence comes out. Surely they're going to be able to get Pycat 25 HP. The Aegis stays alive somehow for Navi.
I can't really blame Secret for not chasing Kameen for that. They're so afraid and respecting the Dendi RP. Yeah. If they somehow dive or group up a little bit, if Dendi's blink is up and he gets that 2-man RP, suddenly there's a turn. Suddenly Void, he may have 20 HP, but if both those heroes are RP'd, he can turn, fight, cleave them down. Same for the Magnus, so showing some respect there to what Dendi can pull out. And it was a very disconnected fight because there was the fight in the bottom lane, the fight around the shrine. The two supports, both Rubik and Ogre, just seem to be getting bullied every single time at the start of the fight, although Pylai somehow still survived. Biver just seems to be getting picked apart. It's a very hard game to play because there's Bounty, Weaver, there's all these gap closers. It's so hard to stay hidden as a Rubik, and getting any spells in these fights seems to be very challenging for him.
Smoke time? Smoke time indeed.
Smoke into the Aegis. But they want to catch Navi by surprise. Get that jump.
Mid one is going to confront the rest of them, and it looks like Secret are going to wrap around here. They might catch RMN, they might not. Failing that, they may just be able to get an initiation on the back lines of Navi.
That's the Pycat Lincolns.
Well, that's rough. He really needs that Lincolns.
I don't think they want to fight straight 5v5, so they're going to go for the split push mid. Mid one, Forward Spirit's Alacrity will threaten the high ground while Navi threaten the tier 2 tower. So yeah, Navi will have to back off to this. For now, only TPing a Rubik, so they've got 4 heroes down bottom who theoretically could take a 4v5 fight. We'll see if it's
possible. They've got the vision. General's sitting on the high ground with a ward. They see Pylai Die. Yeah, he's not the hero they want to go on. They do see Kezu here, and they're going to chrono Kezu. Now, trying to blow him up inside of this one, make sure he doesn't get off the Stampede, controlling him as much as possible. Dendi tries to make his initiation, but immediately gets countered. Kezu's still alive. Now he gets off the Stampede. Disaster strikes for Navi. Completely misreading how they could take down Kezu, and Dendi getting caught as he tries to make his second initiation. That'll be the Aegis, and that'll probably be a wipe here. As I'm not sure how Pycat's going to be able to get away, especially without that Lincolns. Gets instantly Scythe the Vice, just like Dendi did. And Secret, huge win, turn it into a push.
That was a very all-in play from Navi to try focus down a centaur of all heroes, and they know there's so much damage mitigation from his Stampede that they want to take him out, and they're happy to solo chrono him, but there's also damage mitigation coming from a Solar Crest Glimmer Cape. The Glimmer Cape from Puppy and the Solar Crest kept Kezu alive, and it's not just the Stampede you've got to worry about. The fact that Sankin was just sitting on that cliff waiting to follow up the chrono. They used Epicenter, Chrono, and the Leshrac on a Centaur they couldn't even kill. And now Navi are going to be put with their back against the wall, lose their first lane of racks. They don't want to buy back Dendi. He's got that low respawn time, but it's going to be further damage to their base.
Are they going to fight this 4 versus 5? Because they may just have to. 30 seconds left. Secret may just go after this melee rack straight up to the top lane.
Mid one is so well positioned. He's always out of vision, never lets Dendi see him. Ever since that one fight where Dendi solo RP'd him, I think he's caught onto the fact that Dendi is just solely waiting to find mid one with an RP, and he stays so far back that even if Dendi manages to get onto him, it's like you've dived way past the main line, the front lines, and you put yourself in a terrible position where you're not going to kill mid one, so making it damn near impossible to get the RP Dendi wants.
Skewer, but there goes the time-lapse. Stampede also being used. Stolen Stampede on a Ags Rubik. That is a huge pickup.
Time to run if you're Secret, probably, with more so because of the respawns, but that Stampede also poses a bit of an issue. And you've just taken 2 full lanes of racks. Like you're in no rush right now. Don't need to force a bad fight, having just won a fantastic one.
Secret 2 full lanes of racks up as they did finish off both those ranged raxes. They are up a significant amount of gold too. Once upon a time, Navi had about a 10,000 gold lead when they're winning back-to-back team fights. But now it's Secret who are holding more than a 10,000 gold lead and have almost evened up the experience. That was so much in the favor of Navi that it still has not dipped down into Secret's favor.
That is been I mean, Navi had a very strong mid game, but all it took was a poor fight at bottom to lose a lot of that edge they had. And now with the racks down, it's going to be Secret playing from a very advantageous position. Puppy's got the Greaves, all the teamfight pieces coming together. Pilot even gets like a casual Aether Lens for some extra cast range to make sure he can get some of his spells off.
Oh, they do get him with the Telekinesis and the Chronosphere, so MP may end up dying here, but here comes that damage mitigation. The Glimmer Cape trying to save him long enough. The bash comes out, but there goes the time lapse. Now Dendi, he needs to find a good RP to be able to save this fight, but it doesn't look like it's possible. Pycat is also going to go down. RMN, his BKB wears out towards the tail ends of his TP. He ends up getting stopped by the Scythe of Ice, and now it's Dendi and General against the Worlds. And I'm not sure if it's going to be possible for these two to hold.
Yep. General gets away from mid one, but yeah, holding this Rax looks damn near impossible. Secrets, like the support items, to me is what is winning every single fight. Having these Glimmer Capes, having the Greaves, the Solar Crest. The Solar Crest on numerous occasions has kept alive whoever's been Chronosphered, and it really has been the difference maker, the fact that Puppy and Pi have done so much.
Here comes that Epicenter, Burrow Strike just on the Puppy, and that's not even going to be enough to finish him off. General, it's going to be Scythe of Ice, and looks like he should go down here. Dendi makes his way back to the fountain, tries to get a skewer, but can't actually latch it in time, and there it is. GG called from Navi, despite a promising mid-game with all those team fights and big-time abilities. Navi will end up losing to Secret in their second best of 3, 2-0, and are eliminated from DAC.
Well, Navi, they had a tough group, a strong showing, I would say. I mean, they took down Secret 2-1 in the initial match. Were versing a Bears team who was a complete mystery, but very well known that this was a potential top tier 1 European squad. So I think Navi going to be feeling a bit unlucky with the group they got. They would have much rather been in Group B. They would have much rather been probably in the CIS qualifiers. But even so, I think the takeaway for Navi is still like